Hello everyone and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol Battle Report. Today for you we have a large 20 threat match on this new table layout. You can see before you between the Avengers featuring their two newest additions versus the Convocation, who finally have their new, well, technically not leader option because you can pick anyone to be a leader as long as they're in the Convocation affiliation, but Sorcerer Supreme is here. But we can go into more details about that as we look at the two teams taking part in today. So let's get started. So here is the 20 threat of Avengers being led by their newest and largest leadership option, the Hulkbuster, who gives the Hulkbuster's affiliation bonus, which is collisions do 1 less damage for anyone participating in them. And obviously he is gigantic, he's on the Hulk size base, he moves medium, so he'll be able to cover a lot of ground, basically the same as Dormammu, and is all in all just a fantastic miniature. Been looking forward to seeing how he'll do on the table. Joined by the other new addition, Miss Marvel. Now this is her embiggened form. She actually doesn't start as the embiggened form, but hey, it looks more impressive. She's also on a Hulk-sized base when she is embiggened, so we might be seeing this as we go. And then backed up by Captain Marvel, of course, to go with Miss Marvel, the Vision, and also War Machine, so Roddy can hang out with Tony in his much larger, more impressive suit. And their tactics cards are Second Wind, no matter the cost, Avengers Assemble, Helios Laser Bombardment, and Fan Club. And here is our Convocation affiliation for today, being led by the new Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange. Same threat level as the other Doctor Strange, but a different toolset. No giving out Horace wisdom, but more about beating people up and controlling the battlefield, and a very dangerous area of effect that you can get quite easily because he generates 2 extra power in the power phase. In fact, this team in general generates a lot of power. The Ancient One gets an extra power. Iron Fist, who's just kind of tagging along because in some of the comics he's kind of like a student of Doctor Strange, he generates an extra power. Clea can tap into getting extra power very similarly to Red Skull's tapping the cube. But anyway, covered them. Mordo's also here. Wong is also here. For the Avengers, they do have some extra power generation, like Vision can do it during his turn and Hulkbuster gets an extra 1 in the power phase. But this team is definitely going to have the greater power generation, and we'll see how these two do for their first showing on the channel as well. And of course, Convocation, you pick the affiliation leader, it's Doctor Strange, and he's starting with Circle of the Cosmos, but of course can pay 1 power in a power phase to flip it to the other side if he desires. Their tactics cards are Seven Sons of Cinnabis, Advanced R&D, Wand of Watum, Ironbound Book of Shumagorath, and Astral Ring. And here are the 2 crisis cards being played. The secure 19 threat Demons Downtown has our comeuppance come due. That's the 3 flaming portals that set people on fire. And you get 1 victory point for each portal you're holding, regardless of how close or far they are from where you start. And then the threat level being played is the Extraction, the most cursed mission in all of Crisis Protocol. Alien ship crashes downtown. It's the Kree Power Core. You have to roll 2 dice and get a crit on one of them to find the core. If you hold the core, you get 2 victory points in the cleanup phase. You can only move once, and you have to attack, otherwise you suffer 1 damage during your activation. Simple as that. Flaming portals, boom, boom, boom. The 3 potential rubble piles that you can keep searching until someone finds the core along the crosshair there. And with that, we'll be back at deployment. So we are all set up and good to go. The Avengers are on your left and will be taking first activation, unless they choose to pass because they are a model down. A massive 6 miniatures in the Convocation setup this time. Convocation on your right. Basically in a line, except for Mordo is down on this flank, Iron Fist is up on that flank, but the rest of them in a line, ready to go after those demon portals. For the Avengers, basically in a line as well. There's actual size Miss Marvel next to Hulkbuster. She is so tiny compared to him. Vision there, War Machine there, Captain Marvel up there, and 3 of the Avengers have flight, so they're not going to be slowed by if they choose to cut across the building there. So with that, let's go into Battle Round 1 and get started. So Vision got the game started, moved to the far side of the closest flaming portal, stayed within 1 to help control it, and then used Synthesis, which counts as an action, to give himself 2 power, so he's sitting on 3. Baron Mordo was first up for the Convocation. He double moved to get to this rubble pile, spent his 1 power to search for that power core, and it begins. No crit, so he didn't find it. Captain Marvel activated and decided to fly up the left flank, double medium move to the rubble pile over here, and spent her 1 power to try and find it, and did not. Iron Fist was next up for the Convocation. He moved forwards medium, and then initiated a range 3 flying kick into Captain Marvel, and it's only a 4 dice physical. You get placed within 1 afterwards, so that's why he's moved up there as part of the attack. But his roll of 4 dice, 2 hits, 2 crits, which generated another crit on top of that for a total of 5 hits, and her defense roll was not great. She took 4 damage, which is, well, I mean, it generated a lot of power. Iron Fist then spent his 1 power that the flying kick just generates flat to search the rubble pile, rolled 2 blanks. So he didn't get the Kree power core, but he hurt her badly. So Rhodey, War Machine activated, and he can fly, so he wasn't hindered by the building being in the way. He moved to the centre to claim the portal there. He spent his 1 power to check for the core, and he did find it. So the power core, that should have been on top of there, but just to show that we're both there, is now on Rhodey's card. Now, unfortunately, because he picked it up this turn and he hasn't attacked, that does mean he instantly takes 1 damage when he ends his activation, because he didn't do an attack action in his turn. These other rubble piles are just going to disappear, and obviously he's now a little bit precariously positioned to get attacked by a lot of magic. Clea activated next for the Convocation, and I believe she's the only one on the board who is immune to Incinerate, so she has nothing to fear from the demon portals. She moved up to the far side of the closest one, so she is controlling it. Then she used her Descendant of the Faultine roll, which is exactly the same as Red Skull's tapping the cube. She gains 3 power, it counts as an action. You roll 5 dice, and for every skull you damage yourself. She rolled no skulls, and that does give her enough power that on the next turn she can do her range for a big attack, which I think is Icy Tendrils of something or other. So Miss Marvel's being plucky, brave, and or stupid. She double moved, she moves medium, whether she's in big and or normal size, into the centre to help with, well, War Machine's help, that is, to claim the central portal. At best now I think Convocation, if all 3 of them decide to move in on the middle, they could still claim majority. But very specifically, the Hulkbuster hasn't gone yet, and it has massive push potential. So of those 3, Wong activated. He meditated as an action to gain 1 power, then spent his 2 power to give 1 power to the Ancient One. Power. Then for his other actual action, he moved up, but he doesn't need to help claim that portal, so he didn't want to get incinerated for no reason, so he moved slightly alongside it, in a position to support next turn. The Avengers opted to pass, so it was right back over to Convocation. The Ancient One activated, she moved forward medium, ignoring the backline portal, because again, Clea doesn't need any help holding it this turn, so there's no point getting incinerated for no reason, especially because it would put her at 1 physical defense. And then she threw Fangs of Farala, her range 3, at poor Miss Marvel, although it's not really poor Miss Marvel, because no damage was done. It still generates the Ancient One 1 power, regardless of whether it damages or not, however. So it was time for the big boy Hulkbuster to activate, however first, Avengers Assemble was played turn 1 to make some stuff happen. Any number of Avengers characters can pay 1 to play this card. Characters that did advance small. Hulkbuster paid a power to advance small, and so did Captain Marvel. So Captain Marvel is right there. And then the Hulkbuster ended up over here after doing a medium move, and then did his basic attack, which is a heavy repulsor blast. It's 6 energy. He did it on the Ancient One. Didn't manage to do any damage, unfortunately. But if it does no damage, he gets 1 power, and whether it does damage or not, you push away small. So the Ancient One has been shoved into that demon portal, whether she likes it or not, and will be getting incinerated at the end of the turn. And with that, speaking of which, it is over to Sorcerer Supreme Strange to end Battle Round 1. So Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange is scary in his own rights. He spent 1 power on Deadly Daggers of Dave. It's like Davaroth, but I'm going to say Dave. Deadly Daggers of Dave, and he gets to pick what element they are, physical, energy, or mystic. Range 4, I think, for 1 power. Doesn't generate power, but does poison as well as damage. He chucked them at the Hulkbuster. He rolled exceptionally well. This Doctor Strange still has the rule the other one has, where you can modify skull results in once per turn, or once per attack. You can re-roll all your attack or defense dice. So he made use of that and rolled fantastically. He would have done 5 damage to the Hulkbuster, but the Hulkbuster spent 1 on Built to Take It, which is damage reduction by 1 with no minimum. So that got brought down to 4. He has no immunities though, so he is poisoned, and that's going to cut into his power generation a little bit, which is quite bad. Sorcerer Supreme moves medium. He then moved over here. He's generating 3 power a turn, so he doesn't really care about that. He's just positioning himself well, because they're not going to have priority. And speaking of, let's do the scoring and whatnot for Battle Round 1. So here's things as they stand at the end of Battle Round 1. Incinerates have been dished out to everyone within 1 of a portal. So that is Vision, War Machine, Miss Marvel, Clea, and the Ancient One, thanks to that push earlier. Score-wise, the Avengers are holding the Kree Power Core on War Machine there for 2 victory points. They are holding their backline portal, and they are holding the centre, so they have gained a total of 4. It's a low-scoring match, and low-scoring objectives as well. The Convocation only score 1 for holding their backline flaming demon portal over there. So as we go into battle round 2, it's 4 playing 1, Avengers retaining priority, and ready to dish out some hurt. So battle round 2 got started with the Hulkbuster, and although he didn't end up moving, he did a lot of stuff, so we have a lot of things to cover in the order in which they happened. Let's start with Second Wind getting played. Any Avengers can pay 1, and those that do can remove stun if they're stunned, and 1 damage. Hulkbuster, Captain Marvel and War Machine all paid 1 to heal 1. Then he paid 3 for Now I'm Mad to pick up the overly large tree that had been here-ish. They're trees that are larger than cars, so they count as size 3. Chucked it at Wong. Wong has 2 physical defense. He took 3 damage from it. You will notice an extra damage there, that's because of what happened next. Tony made use of Helios Laser Bombardment. Gives him access to this attack as one of his actions, which was his first actual action because throwing the tree was not. Range 5, it's only 2 energy, but any number of teammates can pitch in power, and for every power put in this way, you add dice. So, Vision put in 3, Captain Marvel put in 3, and that put it up to a total of 8 energy dice. And he did that on Sorcerer Supreme Strange. And then Sweep and Clear kicks in if you get 1 wild, which is enemy targets within 2 of the target originally take 1 damage when there was a wild. So Wong took 1 damage from that Sweep and Clear, so he got dazed from that. Mordo also took 1 damage from the Sweep and Clear. Strange, however, this Doctor Strange has a very, very irritating role called the Mystic Armor of Strange, I think, or Supreme Armor of Strange. If he's getting attacked by Energy or Mystic, any wilds in his defense roll, and remember he can re-roll his defense roll once per attack, changes a hit crit or a wild to a blank in the opposing roll, and he gets power for any dice changed that way. So I think there was like 4 damage coming in from the Helios Laser Bombardment. He countered and blocked all of it thanks to that Mystic Armor roll. Generated himself some power off it despite taking no damage. So that kind of sucked. So for the actual second action of the Hulkbuster, he just did his Heavy Repulsor Blast to push him away. Did so. Mystic Armor of Strange also made it do no damage. Again, that is a really, really potent defense roll against Energy and Mystic. He still generates the power for it regardless of whether it does damage, and he still gets to push regardless of whether it does damage. So Strange has been pushed back there small. He dazed Wong, but you can drop a satellite laser on Doctor Strange, but he can take it and live, as it turns out. That was impressive. So Doctor Strange activated and decided to show why you shouldn't mess with Sorcerer Supreme. He spent 4, which is very expensive for a teleport, but it's called Scalpel of Strange. It's him or an ally within 2, and they get teleported 3, so it is a pretty long teleport. So he did that to start with, plopped him like basically under the Hulkbuster's arm there. Then he did a medium move as his first action, such that he made sure he was within 2 of Clea and the Ancient One, so that for his other actual action, he could do 7 Sons of Cinnabis for another 3 power. I think he was basically sitting on 9 power, 8 or 9 power he had sitting. Or maybe 10. Either way, it gives him a beam 5, 8 energy dice. It would incinerate, although that wasn't relevant because everyone he hit was already incinerated. But he has to have 2 non-dazed allies within 2 of him, and he spends 3, so Wong didn't count. But the beam 5 was long enough such that it hit War Machine, Miss Marvel, and the Vision, and it wrecked them. Well, no, Miss Marvel did okay. Everyone had 1 less defense dice because they were already on fire. Miss Marvel took 2 damage, War Machine took 4, I think he has 1 health left, and the Vision took 5. And he also has 1 health left, so that is very nasty. Don't mess with that Sorcerer Supreme, he is scary. The Vision was next up for the Avengers, and he decided to abandon the rear portal here. He moved up medium, which put him literally right on top of the portal there, and then for his other actual action, it did his basic solar beam, beam 4, so it hit Doctor Strange, Clea, and the Ancient One. He did end up further forwards. That's because upon hitting the Ancient One, she triggered Winds of Watum to pull him towards her as close as he can get, because he would stop Clea, but he's fine with being there. The Armour of Strange again made sure that no damage got done to him. Clea, however, took a bad hit. She was incinerated, she had 1 less dice against the energy attack. Took 3. Ancient One fully blocked it as well, despite the incinerate. So not great. Vision is very out of place, and now that rear portal is unguarded. Despite saying it right at the start that Clea is immune to incinerate, still managed to forget during the match. So she would in fact not have had one less defense dice. That's the only roll it mattered for her, because that's the first time she's been attacked. Re-rolled it and she fully blocked it, but obviously that isn't necessarily how the first roll would have went, but that's what's going to happen. So she is in fact at full health. So it was the Ancient One who activated next, and she stayed where she was on the far side of that portal. Still within range 3, she chucked her Fangs of Farala at the Vision, who I haven't been mentioning, but he has been in his energy phase form, because there's no point in him being in the physical against the Convocation, although I guess because of Iron Fist, but he's nowhere nearby. Either way, she did 3 damage, she only needed to do 1, so the Vision is dazed. She opted to stay there because Miss Marvel could be a problem if she's allowed to live this turn, because she can embiggen and use her extra move to very safely get over there. The Iron Fist activated and he was over there by the road side. He moved medium and then he initiated a flying kick into War Machine, both to get placed within one of that portal there to help contest it, but also because he just needed to chip 1 more damage off of War Machine to make him get dazed and drop that power core. Sadly, 4 dice physical against 4 down to 3 physical defense because of the Incinerate. Didn't get through with that 1 damage. He took no damage, so he's just there. War Machine activated and he had to initiate an attack, otherwise he would self-daze because of holding onto the Kree Power Core and the rules associated with that. He did a Rocket Pod Barrage on Sorcerer Supreme. It's just 4 dice physical. His armor once again countered the successes. Well, part of the successes is blocked the rest. But he's allowed to target someone within 2, so he also fired at Clea, and she also fully blocked any damage. Wasn't expecting much, he just had to do an attack so that he doesn't self-daze. And he's only allowed to make 1 movement action if he's holding the Kree Power Core, which he did, to fall back to the rear portal here. So he's probably not safe because Mordo hasn't gone yet, but at least it means if he goes to pick up the core, it's still in their half of the table. So Mordo moved up his medium, which put him well within range to do his basic Mystic Attack 4 dice on War Machine, and there wasn't even a defense roll required. 2 shields, a skull and a blank in the attack roll for Mordo there, which is a great shame because he has been performing very well so far in the series, but not this time. Miss Marvel activated, and sadly we're not going to see any embiggening because she spent 3 power on Take Out the Trash. She picked a size 2 character or terrain piece and chucked them small. She picked up Iron Fist and threw him down the alleyway there. Just 1 damage from the impact, and just wanted to get him away from the portal this turn. She then used a Morpho Punch on Mordo, which is range 4 basic physical attack. She did really well with it. Of course he has bad physical defense, so that helps. Did 3 damage to him. Now on a wild, which it did get, it has an optional push, except the push is actually a pull. You're not allowed to push the target away, you have to pull towards her. Opted not to use it because Mordo can stay where he is. So for her other action, she opted to move, because she was originally there-ish, back a little bit. She's still within one of the portal there. She just wants to try and be far enough away to force Clea to move if she wants to go attack her, because I think it is just Clea and then back over to Captain Marvel. Yeah, I think so. So as it turns out, Clea's big attack, the Icy Tendrils of etc., is range 4, not range 3, so range 4 still reaches Miss Marvel. Now thankfully Miss Marvel's got the base Mystic Defense of 3, she did okay and took 2 damage. She's alive on 1 HP, she has 5 on her normal side. I think she has 5 on both sides. Icy Tendrils of etc. does a lot of extra stuff. If at the core of your roll you get at least 1 wild, then you need like a wild and a crit, and a wild crit shield, etc, etc. She rolled a bunch of hits and 1 crit, so there was no wild to manipulate there. For her other action, because her base attack is range 3, which Miss Marvel is out of range of, she decided not to move and decided to use the Descendant of the Faultine rule again to give herself 3 power to do Icy Tendrils next turn. She rolled 1 skull, so she took 1 damage. The reason she doesn't want to move is because Captain Marvel can fly, she could just hop over the building here and contest if Clea moves away. So for Captain Marvel to end off Battle Round 2, she did indeed fly up onto the building, not going to be able to out-contest that portal, so instead from there she did her basic strike range 2, 5 physical dice, into Supreme Doctor Strange, and managed to actually get through his armour for once, and he finally took 1 damage of his 6 health, I want to say. So she did something. A death laser from space couldn't hurt him, but a punch from an angry lady did. So with that, we are into scoring for Battle Round 2. So at the end of Battle Round 2, there is no question about it. The Avengers got their you-know-what kicked there, but they did hold on to points. So if the Convocation want to take this back, they're going to have to start changing that around, although with so many people close to dazing, I think that's got a massive chance of happening in Battle Round 3, especially because they're taking first activation. But points-wise this turn, it's exactly the same. War Machine defied belief, held onto that Kree Power Core for 2 victory points. He's holding the back portal for 1, and Miss Marvel is the only one holding the centre for another total of 4, taking them to 8. Convocation only hold the back portal for 1, so they're trailing massively at 2, but they're definitely winning the fight, and that might matter as we get into the latter half of the game. So, Battle Round 3, Convocation going first, no one else gets set on fire, Clea is immune to it, and everyone else who's within range 1 already is on fire. So we are into Battle Round 3, however, first of all, in the power phase of Battle Round 3, Ironbound Book of Shumagorath is being played. It's Wong that's paying the 2 power. So for the entirety of this round, any Convocation character, when they're targeted by a physical damage attack, can choose to treat it as a mystic attack. And this can come back into the hand if an allied character is KO'd, like for example what might happen to Wong this turn now that he's flipped. So it was actually Baron Mordo that got the turn started, and he spent 4 on Reigns of Ragador, his big mystic 7 dice attack, which you might think is overkill, although as it turns out, when he used it on War Machine, he did 2 damage, it got reduced to 1 because of a titanium armor plating, and that's exactly enough that War Machine was dazed. He dropped the core over there, Mordo had 1 power left, he paid 1 to pick it up, and then it became a problem with what do you do, because he had 2 health left. Does he move towards that portal? Does he want to run away from the Hulkbuster down here so nobody gets the core? He opted instead to contest, or rather, sorry, hold, because he's still healthy. Hold this flaming portal over here, and then if he does drop the power core, at least it's in the melee still, and Iron Fist could come around the corner and grab it. He also should not have that token still. Keep forgetting about the people in the alley, apparently. So the Hulkbuster was up, and it spent 3 on Meteor Punch on the Sorcerer Supreme himself. 8 dice physical, although it actually goes against his 5 mystic because of the Ironbound Book. Before damage is dealt, if there's a wild in the attack roll, enemies within 2 of the target take 1 damage, and there was a wild. So Wong, Clea, and the Ancient One all took 1. And then if the attack does damage, the target doesn't gain power from it. And it did manage to do a massive 1 damage. Not great, but if it does damage and the target's size 4 or less, you get to throw them away medium. So the Hulkbuster was here-ish, remember. Chucked him away into the Ancient One, so Strange took 1 more damage from that collision. Ancient One also took 1 more damage from that collision. And then for his other actual action, he moved away over here to help control that central portal. Clea activated next for the Convocation. She spent a total of 6 power across 2 icy tendrils of Ichthalon, something like that. 1 on Vision, of which there was 1 success in her initial roll. He easily defeated it. And the other, though, did 3 damage to Miss Marvel. It only needed to do 1, so she is dazed. So Vision activated, stayed where he was, but couldn't resist doing some damage. He started with a beam, solar beam, on all of them, Clea, Doctor Strange, and Ancient One. I think he consistently did 1 damage to all of them. Then he spent 4 on Synthezoid Avenger. His 7 dice physical doesn't allow crits to count or roll extra dice. Against Doctor Strange, going against his Mystic Defense, of course, because of the Shumagorath still being in play. Did 2 damage to them though, which gave him enough that he's actually dazed. Then, to finish his turn, that was his 2 proper actions, the Synthezoid Avenger plus the beam. He paid 3 or 2 for his throwing ability, calculate trajectory I think it's called. Picked up Clea, chucked her into Wong, 1 damage each, all said and done. So he didn't move, isn't helping with objectives this turn, but I think he may have single-handedly done the most damage so far. Super simple activation for Wong. He stayed where he was, he paid 2 power in total for 2 Vishanti's Blessings. He picks an ally within 2 and heals them for 2. Can't pick the same person twice. He healed 2 damage from Clea and he healed 2 damage from the Ancient One. The Ancient One is an important heal because she is the only healthy character in range of that portal currently, because Clea is already gone, so she can't move back. So already at the last activation of the turn for the Avengers, Captain Marvel, she moved down to this portal. She shot an energy blast at point blank range, so it generates 1 power whether it does damage or not, and that was smart because the Ancient One fully blocked it. It was a case of 4 against 3, well, down to 2 defense, or doing her basic strike, which would go against Mystic 5 down to 4. But the guaranteed energy off the energy blast was chosen instead because that gave her 3 power, which she then spent on the Danvers special to pick up Captain Marvel, to let Captain Marvel pick up the Ancient One, chucked her into this tree here for 1 damage. More importantly, got her off the objective, so she's going to have to use an action to get back there. But that is it for the Avengers in this turn. So there's still the Ancient One and Iron Fist. So Iron Fist did a flying kick into the Hulkbuster, generates 1 power default whether it does damage or not, which is just as well because it didn't do any damage. He then spent 8 on the Iron Fist, right into the Hulkbuster's stomach. Didn't do too well actually, he did okay with his defense too. 2 damage all said and done, and that's without spending the power for Built to take it. But because he had an activated token, he gains Stagger, so he's only getting 1 action next turn, which is really bad for him. Now it's over to the Ancient One. So the Ancient One moved back into position and then spent 4 power on Astral Strike to try and punch Carol in the soul, but she whiffed her attack roll. Like 7-8 dice, 1 success which was blocked by the Mystic Defense of Captain Marvel. So no damage done, they are both contesting that back portal, but we can cover that in more detail when we go to the cleanup. So at the end of Battle Round 3, giving out some more Incinerate tokens. Mordo is on fire now, Iron Fist is on fire now, and so is Captain Marvel. Everyone else who was within range was already on fire, not including those who are dazed. Scoring wise, Mordo was able to hold on to the Kree Power Core that he stole off War Machine for 2 victory points. He's holding that portal for another 1, so that gives them a total of 3 victory points gained, taking Convocation to 5. The only thing the Avengers gained was priority. This middle portal contested between 2 healthy characters. This portal contested between 2 healthy characters. They gained nothing victory points wise. But, as said, they're getting first activation as we go into Battle Round 4. So Battle Round 4 got started with War Machine emptying the clip into Mordo's face, but the special rules for it never even came into effect because he didn't roll any crits. He did however do 3 damage. He only needed to do 2 or 1 maybe even, it was a bit overkill. So Mordo is dazed, he dropped the power core which War Machine paid 1 to pick up, and then he repositioned himself on the far side of the portal there so that he's as far away from danger as possible, because by himself now if he just holds that back point he's generating 3 victory points with the power core, and he did do an attack this turn so he's not taking damage. So the Sorcerer Supreme activated and he once again proved that he is terrifying. He was back here, he spent 4 on Scalpel of Strange to place himself within 3, he didn't go the full distance, he wanted to be here specifically so then he could pay, how much was it for his other attack? It was 6 I believe, yeah, because he was sitting on 10 power. He paid all the rest of the power he did to do his Shining Circle of the Seraphim, which is an area 2, so it caught the Hulkbuster, Vision, Captain Marvel, and depending on what he rolls against each of them, if he rolls a wild, he can heal a stats effect from every ally within 2. If he gets a wild and a shield on each roll, because it says after each attack is resolved, he can heal allies. Now he didn't roll too well with that. He healed Incinerate off of Iron Fist, and then he got 1 case of being able to heal. So Iron Fist, Wong and Clea have all healed 1. But yeah, the attack itself, 7 dice Mystic. It did 4 to Carol, she is dazed. It did 4 to Vision, he's almost dead. It did 3 to the Hulkbuster, he opted to take the full damage so he could get a bit of power generation. So he took it to the face, and that was only his first action because the teleport isn't an action. So he had no power left, so he just did his basic attack, range 3. I've forgotten offhand what it's called. It is the Baleful Bolts of Balthrak. Did that on Captain Marvel, did 2 damage to her. He's a war crime, he's not allowed on this table. So being so close to death, Vision activated next and popped off a little bit. First of all, calculated trajectory, he used that to throw Clea into the Ancient One. 1 damage, and then 2 damage to the Ancient One from not doing well in the dodge, because she was incinerated as well. He then fell back, even though he's not really helping contest because he's wounded, but that let him line up a very nice solar beam to catch all 3 of them. Now you notice a distinct lack of damage on Iron Fist, whiffed against him, 2 against Doctor Strange, but he got 3 against Wong. Wong is out of there. But that does also put the Shuragorath book back in their hand. Iron Fist activated, stayed where he was and did 2 chi strikes on poor Miss Marvel. First one did 2 damage, the second one did 1, that's exactly enough. That unfortunately for Kamala, she's not going to get the chance to shine this match, but we'll hopefully see her again in the future. She didn't even get to embiggen once, it's so sad. So the Hulkbuster was up next, and also I think the last activation for the Avengers, they're a bit thin on the ground again. He had to shake the stagger, so he only had 1 action, and with that he spent 3 on Meteor Punch. He just needed to daze Iron Fist, and it was the first massive spike of the game, because honestly there hasn't been that many like really spiky dice rolls so far, but that one was. It was massive, 6 damage through to Iron Fist. I think he had full health, which was 5. Either way, he is dazed, so currently Hulkbuster is the only healthy character holding that portal. But Clea Clea and the Ancient One get to go again, and both of them are healthy. So we'll see what they do to take us to the end of round 4. Oh, and just a reminder about Meteor Punch. I think I said it the very first time I used it, but just to reiterate, the target does not gain power for it, so that's why it's really good at hitting people, like the Hulk, if the Hulk was here, or Iron Fist, who's got a massive Iron Fist attack. You don't give them power for smacking them real hard. So Clea activated and used the tactics card Astral Ring for 2, so you put your the symbol within 3, and then she is there for all intents and purposes. She can't be pushed or removed, and it goes away in the cleanup phase. From there, she is just within one of the flaming portal. She spent all the rest of the power she had on another ice talons of whatever it is, you know, the one I can't say, on Vision, and it hit him for 1 damage, but not enough to take him out. He had 1 health left, so she did her basic strike, didn't bother putting the damage down because it's awkward to put it in this alleyway. It did 2, it was physical as well, and he's been using energy defense buff, so he was only rolling 2 down to, no, just 2. But either way, unfortunately the Vision, he did well this round, to be fair. He did a lot of the damage, but he is gone, and the Ancient One just wants to hold that portal there, so we're just going to go to the end of the battle round as is. So the end of battle round 4, this one is going the distance. War Machine is holding on to the Kree Power Core and the back portal for a total of 3 points. The central one is contested between Clea and the Hulkbuster because of the projection, and Ancient One is holding that one at the back there. But obviously Miss Marvel's off the table, Vision's off the table, Wong's off the table. So we're going to get faster now, but as points stand, the Avengers are up to 11 because of the 3 gained back there. The Convocation only gained 1 for over there, so they're sitting at 6. And then as we go into battle round 5, the Avengers, what are left of them at least, have priority. The Hulkbuster got the round started with a hit and run for 2 power into his heavy repulsor blast into Iron Fist. It did 3 damage to him, it did really well, pushed him back small, stopped when he hit Carl, and then with the move he positioned himself such that he's very awkwardly placed in front of the portal there. And then he spent 3 on, which was the rest of the power he had, on a Meteor Punch into Mordo. He only did 1 damage, but he did get the throw, so he chucked him into the building, and it did 1 extra damage to him there. So Mordo activated and did another Reigns of Ragador on War Machine, and it spiked hard. It did 7, reduced to 6 because of his rule. He only has 5 on his other side though. Oops, there's a knock a building. But War Machine, he's also out of there, just leaving the Hulkbuster and Captain Marvel on the table for the Avengers. That didn't leave him any power though, but he then did his basic Staff of the Tribunal into the Hulkbuster, 2 reduced down to 1 damage because of Built to take it, 1 power got spent on that. But it still did 1 damage, so given the power he needed, that Mordo is once again holding the Kree Power Core. So it's down to Carol for the Avengers, as I'm starting to lose my voice with how long this one's been going on. She had almost the perfect turn. She started with a normal strike into the Ancient One, did 4 damage and dazed her. That also gave her enough power because the Ancient One had 2 health left. To do a Danvers special, picked up Clea, chucked her into the tree here. The damage wasn't important, it was just trying to get her away as far as possible. And then she tried to do a basic strike to take out Iron Fist because he's got 2 health left. He fully blocked that. If she'd taken him out as well, that would have been the perfect turn. As it stands though, Iron Fist, Supreme Strange, War Criminal, and Clea still get to activate to end off the 5th battle round. Alright, that was a really interesting series of events. They basically daisy-chained their activations, so we're just going to cover them now. Clea moved up, holding this portal to score it. Also, apologies for the lighting changes. As I say, this match has been going on for a while. Doctor Strange activated next. He moved here, but before he did that, he spent 4 on Scalpel of Strange to move Iron Fist 3 towards here, so that Iron Fist was close enough to do a flying kick, followed by the Iron Fist. Prior to that though, Sorcerer Supreme fired off his Daggers of Dave, hit the Hulkbuster for 2, reduced down to 1 for 1 power. The flying kick from Iron Fist, he gets placed within 1. He actually should be a bit closer than that, either way, it doesn't matter. Placed within 1, he's there. The flying kick did no damage, still generated 1 power. He then spent 8 of it on another Iron Fist. That did 4 damage. He had 1 power left, he could have reduced it, but the 3 would still be enough. That the Hulkbuster, sadly, is down. Now what's important about this though, as soon as I find somewhere to put him, there we are, is when he becomes Little Iron Man, the emergency suit inside the Hulkbuster gets placed within 2, so I guess he can get put there, doesn't really matter, but he's a healthy character. He isn't classed as wounded. Now if he dies on that side he's still gone, but he's still holding that, and I think as long as either he or Captain Marvel survives the next turn, it's impossible for the Convocation to catch up, because there's only one turn left. But we can cover that properly in the cleanup. Actually, we're not quite at the cleanup phase, because it seems like when you switch to the small suit, you lose an active aid token. This is the rule here. If this character would flip its stat side to its underside, place Iron Man Hulkbuster within 2 of it, then remove this character from the battlefield. Iron Man Hulkbuster has no damage, power, special conditions, or effects, and is now part of your squad. So it seems like he can get a turn, so he's had a turn. And with that turn, he fired his rapid repulsor blast into Iron Fist, did 2 damage, and took Iron Fist out. He then used his other action to fire them again at Sorcerer Supreme. Didn't do any damage, but it does a push regardless of damage, and pushed him back small. So now we're in the cleanup. I hope that was done right. So this is going the distance. It's going to go to the final battle round. Points scored there. Avengers score 1 for the portal there, putting them at 12. Convocation scored 2 for the Kree Power Core on Mordor, and 1 for the portal here because Clea is the only healthy character contesting it. Strange was pushed off of that, which puts them at 9. So as we go into battle round 6, because of that extra activation there, that does actually mean that the Convocation are going first, because it was the final action of their turn, because it went Clea, Doctor Strange, and it was Iron Fist, yeah. Iron Fist is the one who took him out. So they lost first activation, and that's important, because if they get tabled, it's just over anyway. But yeah, we're going into battle round 6. So the true proper final battle round got started with the Ancient One punching Captain Marvel in the soul 2 more times for 2 of the Astral Strikes. 8 power used up or something like that. Didn't do that well, considering. Especially because her crits don't explode on defenses. But 2 from the first one, 3 from the second one. She's alive on 1 HP. So Carol activated and she triggered binary form. She went Super Saiyan for 2 extra dice. And she did a basic strike into Clea with those 2 extra dice. 4 damage, Clea is dazed. She then had just enough left over to do a Danvers special. Picked up Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange, and chucked him back the way just to try and keep him away from Iron Man. Then there's her other actual action, because Danvers special isn't in action. She fell back to the middle portal there. So if Mordo had been able to take out Iron Man there, I think that would have been it. He did 2 bolts of Bishiru on him. The first one whiffed entirely. The second one got through for 1 damage and also hexed. He did his attack, so he doesn't take damage from holding the Kree Power Core, but Iron Man did not go down, so I'm not sure what that means for the score. Let's see. So talk about a last minute save. Iron Man cleared Hex because he wanted the chance at crits. He fired his repulsors, which do have a secondary strike, but it doesn't matter because he exploded on his first roll. 3 damage to Mordo. Mordo is gone. He dropped the Kree Power Core and he still had 1 power left to pick it up. So Iron Man is gathering 3 victory points there. I don't think Strange can get to him, which means that that's probably just won the game amazingly. So hilariously, there's actually no way for Doctor Strange to stop the Avengers winning, but there is a spite move. He moved medium and his Daggers of Dave are actually long enough that he can throw them at Iron Man, and this is the attack roll all said and done, taking out misses, etc. He's got 4 hits coming in, and Iron Man has 4 health left on this side, and he gets to pick the element. And it's going against his worst element, and he should have been incinerated at the end of the last turn, so his 2 physical defense goes down to 1 die. If he gets a success on this, he lives on 1 health. If he dies, he drops the power core. He doesn't hold that portal, obviously, but Carol holds that one, and even if she didn't, they would still win. So, let's see if Iron Man survives. He does not. He took enough damage that he goes down. The power core would be dropped somewhere there, but Steven isn't close enough to pick it up. So that just takes us to the end of the round. 1 victory point gained there for the Avengers, 1 gained there for the Convocation, leaving the final score, astonishingly, at 13 to the Avengers, 10 to Convocation. So that was one heck of a match. It went the full distance. It's one of the most fun that's been on the channel in my opinion. I thought the Hulkbuster was going to be the centre of attention, not just because of his size, but wow, did Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange, steal the show. He took a death ray from space and shrugged it off for 0 damage. He kept on getting punched by giant robot suits and just took barely anything, and Carol punched him a couple of times. I think he just took such a beating. The Hulkbuster did great as well. It's a shame that we couldn't take advantage of his ability to throw size 4 scenery. It has to be within 2, he can't throw characters. So if he'd been a little, if the fighting had been a little bit over here, could have thrown like size 3 car, size 3 Dormammu terrain. He could have done more with that, but he did perfectly fine. And him not getting an activate token, assuming that's correct, might get a rad. And also being healthy on his flipped over non-Hulkbuster side, that's pretty effective. I didn't consider that when I first looked at him. Either way though, this was a long one, so I hope you enjoyed. Please do show your support, and we shall see you in the future for more Marvel Crisis Protocol. Until next time, ta-ta for now.